to say about his power level? It's over 9,000!
Hey K-Drama Boos, welcome back to Key is Typing, where we talk about K-dramas, K-pop, and K-media in general. I think I found a new banger, but I'm only one episode in. So go grab your snacks and get in here and let's talk about this new show. Now, be forewarned, there are spoilers ahead, so if you don't want to be spoiled, now's your chance to click off. Let's get into it. Okay, I was immediately cracking up at the beginning of episode 1. If you're a longtime watcher of K-dramas, you know from everything the school dramas have taught us that Korea is very big on studying and being first in class. Unlike, well, let's not go down that rabbit hole. We meet our main character, Yoon Ga-min, that from first looks seems to be your average nerdy student. He is literally the only student in class full of sleeping kids taking hella notes, only to find out he's not very smart and often comes in almost last place despite his efforts. The way I cackled when I saw his placement scores, like, what do you mean you had a tutor, you went to cram school, you study all the time, and still you're somehow coming almost dead last, second to last at best in everything? I mean, I guess if nothing else, he's tried hard, I guess. Ga-min has a secret though. He's literally Goku. So a little bit about Ga-min. He goes to Yuseong Technical High School, aka the worst school ever, where students don't study, they fight. Literally, when he arrives to campus, kids are getting shook down in the hallway. And when he opens the door to his classroom, hands are flying. They throwing them. Literally throwing them hands the minute he opens the door to his classroom. Although Ga-min is bad at studying, he still wants to go to college. It's literally his dream to get into a top university and be smart in life. But even after transferring to this school of delinquents, Ga-min is still dead last in his class. Now, I just want you to know all of this has happened in the first 4 minutes of this show. And it's at this exact moment that I decided we were probably in for a wild ride. So while Ga-min is looking for his first victim, and I mean study buddy, he sets his eyes on another non-delinquent looking kid and approaches him. But the kid gets yanked up almost immediately. He's forced into a fight and he loses and drops a spot in ranking. So immediately I'm thinking there's some type of power ranking dynamics going on. Your rank in class doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your grades, but you know, it's the first 5 minutes of the show. What do I know? We do meet our do-gooder teacher, Lee Hae-kyung, who was apparently Ga-min's tutor once upon a time, but she mysteriously disappears, so you know there's going to be some type of weird backstory there. I'm interested in seeing her backstory for sure, since she seems to be the only adult in this series who cares about bettering the school so far. Now, you know, in these K-dramas, when teachers and authority figures be disappearing and popping back up, there's always some type of like brutal crime. It's always something weird with these K-dramas, so we know her story is going to be interesting, hopefully. But before I could really even think about that any further, a wild cappuccino literally appears. And it splatters on the blackboard. In every school K-drama, there has to be a villain. And we meet our first one when a fight breaks out. Enter in Lee Hyun-hwan, our resident classroom bully. He is slapping kids for farting and kicking others out of the classroom. There is definitely some type of hierarchy happening here, since the kids only settle back down once Hyun-hwan takes his seat again, much to their teacher's chagrin. I mean, sis was banging that book trying to get them to sit down, but they was not listening at all. We move on a little bit into this series and I am fully intrigued. And so Ga-min is still trying to get his first study buddy, and after all of his pestering of the other non-delinquent looking kid, his name is Sehyun, he does finally agree, and we learn just how unsmart Ga-min is at this point. They're in the library, and to be fair, before I go any further, to be fair, I actually think this may be a miscategorization of his talents. It seems to me like he's an overthinker. and probably highly analytical, which leads to him overthinking problems. But, you know, that's just a hunch. Again, at this point, I'm only 15 minutes in. What do I know? Ga-min does misstep though while trying to recruit Sehun, and we get our first taste of foreshadowing. Enter in the school's big bad bully, the number one, P. Hun-woo, number one student, chairman's son, and apparently the toughest guy in the school. Because of him, the other kids focus on power rankings instead of grades. Now, when he did his big entrance, the only thing that came to mind is he kind of looks like Mark Lee from NCT a little bit. Like, I really can't take a school bully seriously when he has highlights in his hair, but we'll see where his story goes as well. After we meet Big Baddie, we cut to a restroom scene where Sehun is washing his face, and unfortunately, classroom bully Lee Hyun-won walks in, bumps into Sehun, and in a show of frustration, tells him to leave him the bleep alone, not realizing that it was classroom bully and not Ga-min. And this is where our problems start. Classroom bully slaps Sehun around and begins demanding money, basically saying, if you don't want to be bullied, you'll either take this butt whooping or you get slapped around. Now, obviously, I've never gone to school in Korea, so I don't know if the bullying is really this bad. But I feel like there are so many instances in K-dramas where bullying is centered, and it's usually the plot driving force of said school drama. I'm looking at you, School 2015. And because it's so often driving force behind plots, I feel like there's almost a romanticization happening there. At this point, we're only 20 minutes in, so I'm jumping to wild conclusions. Lee Hyun-won drags Sehun off to receive further punishment for his outburst. But luckily, he is saved in time by Ga-min before things get too bad. Ga-min shows up in a welder's mask and begins spraying fire extinguishers, swoops Sehun up, and runs off. And when he puts him down, Sehun is like, now why did you do that? What? He's like, why? I was gonna get my little butt whooping and then go on about my way. And now what's gonna happen? I'm gonna continue to be bullied because you wanted to be Captain Sava. Honestly, I was shocked at this point, because what do you mean, like, you gonna take your little butt whooping and then go on about your life? Like, they would have continued to bully you. 1, you refused to pay them money, and 2, you refused to fight, and 3, you just lost a fight earlier that day, so you had just been knocked down by a lower student. You were gonna continue to get beat up. What do you mean you didn't need his help? I digress. Anyway, Sehun gets up. He walks away from Ga-min, and of course he runs back into classroom bully. Lee Hyun-won is pressuring him. He's like, where's the freaking welder's mask? You thought you were just gonna run off. Like, he's putting pressure on him. And it's at this point that we find out that Ga-min is a muscle freak. You're probably wondering, now, Key, what is a muscle freak? And the best way I can put it to you is to think Mashley. And if you haven't seen that anime, what are you doing? If you don't know who Mashley is, think Goku or One Punch Man. That's the best way I can put it to you. And surprise, surprise, all of his talents are physical instead of mental. I'm further convinced that there's some type of Asperger's or something happening here, because the reflexes and attention to detail are unmatched. I'm yapping a lot, so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. We do learn and see why Sehun doesn't want to be in the study group. And it's just more child abuse. And oh my gosh, I literally cannot take any more child abuse at this point. I am traumatized enough. We also get to see that friend has been trying to join a study group for ages. Like, literally since middle school, this baby was trying, and I feel so bad for him because I know how hard it is to put in so much effort and not have that effort pay off. So I really do feel for him, and I think that's probably why I'm watching this so enthusiastically. We're now at the very end of our episode, and an inspector has come to visit the school. And of course, while this inspector is visiting, Ga-min has found himself in a fight. He was trying to thank Sehun for some old study notes that he had left in his desk, and before he could even get the words out of his mouth, Max friend across the face with a chair, and literally the most epic fight scene happens. When I tell you this is one of the best like K-drama fights I've seen, I mean that. So he knocks him upside the head with the chair and accuses him of being the freak in the welder's mask. Gamin turns into Ultra Instinct Goku at this point. When I say destroys, I mean he destroys Hyunwoo with zero effort. He beat that boy butt so thoroughly and effortlessly that even my chin was on the ground. If you've been trying to get your man to watch K-dramas with you, this may be the one to hook him. That's how good that fight was. The episode ends with Sehyun deciding to join the study group. And to be quite honest, I would have as well, because I'm just not about to get beat up for studying in this school full of delinquents, nor am I about to be in a fight every day for one spot higher in rankings. I would hide behind Gamin as well, so I don't blame Sehyun. Now this drama is a little bit silly, but I like lighthearted dramas as palate cleansers, so I'm hoping we don't get too much emotional damage from this one. If you're interested in watching this drama, you can catch a couple of the episodes on Viki for free, but keep in mind that they will have ads. So if you're watching it, what do you think so far? Would you have joined Gamin's study group, or would you just try to stay hidden and out of all the ruckus? Sound off in the comments and come back next week, because I'll have finished binging the show. We can talk about the rest of this crazy series, because this school needs a principal, maybe even a therapist. You know what? They probably need a SWAT team as well. That's all I've got for this one. See you in the next one. Bye.